to school means sports and other after school activities, and this can make dinner time super chaotic. But it doesn't have to be that way with Make Ahead Casseroles. If you're anything like me, we are out of the house 4 nights a week, which means I can't really cook dinner right before because I'm getting home at dinner time and there just isn't time. I do find that I have time either on a Sunday or in the morning time to make something ahead of time so that I can just pop it in the oven when I do get home. We can do homework and all those things. Make Ahead Casseroles are part of my strategy to make sure that I can keep a hot dinner on the table every night without the chaos and struggles of doing that once I'm home when it's just too late. We don't want to be eating dinner at 8 o'clock at night. So today I have 5 Make Ahead Casseroles for you that are perfect for busy weeknights.
I'm going to start off with a Salsa Verde chicken casserole, and these casseroles are all perfect to either make the night before, or you can make them the morning of, or you can make them on the weekend. In this case, I happen to be making this one the night before. Start by cooking your pasta. Any pasta that you like will do according to the package instructions. And while that cooks, we're going to make up our sauce. I love this recipe because it's different than what I'm used to. I've never really made a creamy pasta with a diced tomato and green chilies before. And the flavor on this ended up being phenomenal. So you want 4 tablespoons of butter, and you want to place that in the bottom of a large saucepan on medium-low. Once your butter is melted, add 1 small diced onion and cook until softened. That's about 4 to 5 minutes. Add in 3 cloves of minced garlic and cook that for about a minute until fragrant. As always, if you don't have fresh onions or garlic, you can just cook some garlic powder and onion powder in the butter for just a few seconds to get fragrant, and then we can go from there. We're going to create a sauce or a roux by adding in 3 tablespoons of flour. So if you have your onions, you just want to get those thoroughly coated. If you're not working with onions and fresh garlic, you can just mix it around until everything comes together. You want to slowly add in 1.5 cups of chicken broth by stirring constantly until everything is well combined and the sauce is thickening. And then you also want to add 3/4 cup of milk in that same fashion. Once everything is really well combined and you have a nice thick sauce, you want to add in 4 ounces of softened cream cheese and 1 cup of cheddar cheese. And you just want to continuously stir this until all of that cream cheese and cheddar cheese is incorporated in your sauce. Now the recipe calls for a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies or rotel, but I didn't have that. I happen to have 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes, which I love and I thought tasted delicious in this anyway, and a small can of green chilies. So I drained both of those and added those to my sauce, and it tasted delicious. So whatever you have on hand, you can always make it work. This is great because this is a sauce that is very easily made from things that you already have on hand. I didn't even need like a cream of mushroom or a cream of chicken. Oftentimes recipes call for that. This is basically making your own because it's really just a white sauce. And then you want to add in chicken. So I just added the last of my chicken, which is about 1 cup of diced chicken. So it's definitely not the star of this meal, but it does add some protein. And if you have more, you can absolutely add more. I feel like you could even add a black bean or a can of corn to this and it would taste delicious as well. You just want to add in your drained cooked pasta, mix that all together. Then I'm going to pour this into a 13x9 pan and cover it with some mozzarella cheese. If you're working in like a cast iron or a Dutch oven, you can just actually pour the cheese right over top in that, and then you can bake it for about 15 minutes to just get the cheese bubbly on top. I added mine to my 13x9, then I covered it with some foil and I put it in the fridge once it cooled down so that I could cook it the next day. I cooked it for about 35 minutes on 350 and it heated up just nice. For this particular meal, I used some leftover chicken from a whole chicken that I cooked, but it would also be perfect with rotisserie chicken. So this casserole is not only great to make ahead, but it's also great for using leftover chicken so that you're also not wasting things and able to roll over meals. Basically, I like to say cook once, eat at least twice.
That casserole is seriously delicious. You have to give it a shot. I do want to talk about one other way to make things easier for yourself on busy weeknights and just busy days in general, and that's through Factor. I want to thank Factor for sponsoring today's video. So cooking ahead is absolutely great and amazing, but we can't always do that, right? Sometimes your weeks are just so busy, everything's jam-packed together, you don't know how you're gonna do it all. That's where Factor comes in. You can eat stress-free with Factor's delicious ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef's crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. You can choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. You can also discover more than 60 add-ons each week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunches, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. So Factor is delivered directly to your door. They are fresh, never frozen meals, and they seriously taste delicious. They're great for those super busy packed weekdays, weeknights. Maybe your days are always like that. So Factor's gonna fill in the gaps when you just don't have time. And it's gonna make sure that you're eating something that is nutritious for your body. Factor even has protein shake lattes, which I've really been enjoying in the morning to get my protein in, just to get started for the day. This week is actually my youngest Ben's 3rd birthday. Yes, if you've been around for a while, if you can believe that, he is turning 3. That's wild. And as I'm busy getting ready for the party, I really hate making extra dishes, cooking things kind of during a busy week where I'm already gonna have to get the house cleaned up. Just one more thing to do on a long list of items. Factor came in super helpful just last night as we were getting things ready. Myself and my husband popped out a Factor meal. I ended up having the smoky pork chop, and holy smokes, it was absolutely delicious. Probably the best pork chop I have ever eaten, and I felt really good about it. My husband had the queso finito ground beef and then ate it so fast that I didn't even get like a video of doing it. But the nice thing is we popped those in the microwave in seriously 2 minutes, and we had dinner on the table for the 2 of us. The key here is fresh meals. So you're gonna be skipping takeout in a situation where you might generally order takeout because you're just too busy or you don't wanna make dishes. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious. You get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready in a snap. So you wanna head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code MEALSWITHMARIA50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code MEALSWITHMARIA50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. The food is amazing. It's perfect for those busy times. I know you're gonna love it. And when you do have a little bit of time, we're back to the casseroles.
Next up, we have our copycat Santa Fe rice and beans. This recipe hit the nail on the head, and it's so cheap. It's so good and so cheap. You want a can of black beans, drained and rinsed, as well as 1 can of kidney beans, drained and rinsed. And not only is this cheap, easy, and delicious, it's super easy. You want to start by adding 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, or I had like a Monterey Jack blend, to a bowl. You need a 1/2 cup of salsa, or I actually ran out of salsa, so I used the tomatoes with diced green chilies, and that worked out fine. And then 8 ounces of tomato sauce. You also want to add your drained and rinsed beans and 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning, which worked out perfect because I used that 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning from a little packet for the black bean crispies, and then I used 2 more for this. So you can make these 2 nights in a row and just use a packet of taco seasoning and you're gonna be in good shape. And then 1 cup of sour cream. And the original recipe calls for 1 can of drained whole kernel corn. Unfortunately, I was out of corn, so I wasn't able to add that, and it was still good, but I do remember the corn from the original recipe, so were I made to make it again, I would definitely add in corn. And then I'm just adding about a teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, just because I didn't have like real salsa, and I felt like those flavors were gonna be missing if I didn't put them in. And then the last step is to add 4 cups of cooked rice. I had basmati rice because that's just what I had around, and it's quick to cook, and it tasted great like that. But you can use, short grain. You can use the instant stuff, whatever is going to work. The rice is, white rice. It's good stuff. And once everything is well mixed, you do want to add that to a 13x9 pan. I used one that was slightly smaller, and it really filled it to the top. So this makes a ton of food. This is at least 2 meals worth of food for my family of 5. The baby ate 2, so there is a lot here, and that's why it's such a great budget meal. And then you want to cook that at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. It's going to make sure that everything is heated through and all the flavors meld. And then we're going to sprinkle with 1 cup of cheddar cheese, or whatever remaining cheese that you have, and bake for another 5 to 10 minutes until that cheese is melted. And if you're wondering what's going on over there on the left in that pot, that's actually a simmer pot. So I just put some cinnamon sticks, cloves, apple, and orange in a pot and simmered it on low, and it makes an amazing smell in your house. So I would recommend you try it if you haven't. Once your cheese is all melty, this is ready to serve, and I just decided to add some green onions over the top of mine just for fun. And this did taste just like the good old-fashioned lean cuisine. It was so delicious. We kind of couldn't stop eating it. It was bad, but we luckily, because there was so much, had so many leftovers. This is an amazing one to make ahead of time because you can just kind of mix everything together and put it in the fridge for later. I served mine with some tortilla chips and then the cilantro lime sauce. The recipe for that and all of these casseroles and more will be down in the description box in a free ebook for you. Next up is Make That Again Hamburger Casserole. And I love myself a make-ahead casserole that is super easy. One of my go-to tips for nights when you just don't feel like cooking is to use a bag salad mix and frozen garlic bread. So I just added that to that, and it really brought things up a notch. I was able to just get this casserole started earlier in the day so that when it was time to eat, I could just pop it in the oven. I just browned up some ground beef and boiled some bow tie pasta. You can use whatever type of pasta that you like. And once my beef was done browning, I drained the fat and then just added a little bit of the Auntie Nono's everything seasoning. You can just use garlic powder, salt, and pepper for this as well. For the casserole, you can just grease and mix everything right in the casserole dish so you have less dishes. You want about a cup of cheddar cheese and a cup of mozzarella cheese. Then 1 can of tomato soup, and the recipe actually called for 2. I didn't have 2, so I just ended up adding in a little bit of marinara sauce instead. But if you just have 2 cans of tomato soup, that'll do it. I ended up adding extra stuff because I had some Alfredo sauce, and I ended up having some, like a little bit of like Rotel left over and some regular tomato sauce. And I was like, I'm going to throw that all in there because it's just, how can you go wrong with that stuff? I had it on hand and I just didn't want it to go bad, so I might as well use it, right? So it's just a reminder to, if you want to add things to a recipe, just go for it. And then you just mix in your pasta right into that casserole dish. This made a full 9 by 13. It was a little bit, full to mix, but I still didn't want to use an extra bowl. I still felt good about the fact that I was just using 1 casserole dish and making it easy on myself. And then you want to top this with about another cup of mozzarella and cheddar and cover it in tin foil. And we're going to bake it at 375 degrees for about 35 minutes. And then you can take the tin foil off and cook it for another 10 minutes to really brown up the top. This was a huge hit. I just served this with a bag of Caesar salad mix and some Texas toast, and the family loved it and couldn't stop eating it, kept going back for seconds. But the good news with how much there was in this casserole is I had a day's worth of leftovers, so my husband had lunch for the next couple days, and Benjamin actually loved it for lunch as well.
10 out of 10.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
How about the salad?
10 out of 10.
How about the garlic bread?
10 out of 10.
Thanks, Tommy.
Garlic bread, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5.
Are you going to try the pasta too?
This bacon cheeseburger tater tot bake has all the flavors of a summer cheeseburger, but in that cozy casserole format. So it's perfect for the fall and winter when it's colder outside, but you kind of still want that grilling flavor. It gives you the best of both worlds. You want to start by cooking up some bacon, or you can have fully cooked bacon slices or even bacon bits that you already have. You want about 12 slices. I used just a pound and that worked out fine. And then I have 1 large onion. I'm just going to dice that. And then in a pan over medium heat, you want 2 pounds of ground beef, or I think ground turkey would work out just fine in this as well. That would taste delicious. And you want to brown that with about a cup of the onion. So you do want to set aside some of the onion because we're going to put some raw onion on top, kind of like you would on a cheeseburger. And you cook that until the beef is no longer pink and is tender. That took me about 8 minutes. Then you do want to drain off your meat. Add in 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1 tablespoon of dry mustard, about a cup of tomato sauce. I think it just meant like plain tomato sauce, but I had like marinara sauce in my fridge that I wanted to use up. So I used that, more flavor, no fail. And then 8 ounces of Velveeta cheese, or I ended up using the Clancy's Aldi version of Velveeta. So you can even just use the generic brand and it'll work out totally fine. And then you cook that all together, and you really just want to melt down that cheese and make sure everything gets mixed well. That's going to take another 6 minutes for that to melt. You want to grease a 13 by 9 pan and pour in your beef mixture. You want to sprinkle that with your pound of crumbled bacon and then 2 cups of cheddar cheese. As always, I'm using like the last bits of one type of cheese and then the rest of another. And hey, we're not measuring because we have the cheese on hand. Also, if you had less cheese or you want to change the type of cheese, it's going to be totally fine. This is a very relaxed recipe. You can even use whatever your favorite type of cheese is to put on a cheeseburger. I bet American slices might be pretty good too. And then we're going to top this with frozen tater tots. So you just want to layer them in rows, and this is also a great make-ahead meal. So if you wanted to, you could put the tater tots on either last minute, or you could even put them on now and then put it in the fridge. I think it would be fine. It might cook a little bit faster, but it's up to you how you want to do it. And then we are going to bake this at 400 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. And I actually did make this ahead. So I made it. I told my husband put it in the oven at a certain time because I had taken my kids to a doctor's appointment. It came out of the oven right before we got back. It was perfect. And then I just topped it with some chopped pickles, tomato, and onion. So you want to use the rest of your onion that's left over. About 1 Roma tomato is what I used, and about 1/3 cup of chopped pickles. And that really just adds all that flavor to it. It kind of makes it more of like that fast foody flavor. So if you're not into that, you totally don't even have to put that over the top, but I feel like it really adds something extra. And the whole family was loving on this. This is a big win. It's like I said, it's like that comfort food, but it's also something that you already know, and it's a great comfort casserole.
What do you think, JJ? Can you give it a rating?
A 10 out of 10.
Really good?
Mm-hmm. That looks like a raisin.
Okay, for this recipe, I chose what is called a Hamburger Pie. We're just gonna get started by chopping up an onion, and that's the only like work that we're gonna need to do here. Forgive me, this is one of those days where I need to clean the cooktop, but it's just, we're already cooking, so we're just gonna leave it because reality is. So I'm just using what I have on hand, and I've got beef here. Pulled this out of the freezer. So I bought ground chicken, and the only issue with me is I don't really, because I have other recipes lined up within the same meal plan, I don't really have the ability to kind of cook the rest of the ground turkey and the ground beef. And since I already had these in the freezer and then took them out of the freezer, I can't freeze them again. So I'm just gonna cook a pound of each, but yes, the original recipe is just a ½ pound of each, and that definitely would make it more budget friendly. And let's not forget our onions. The next part of this is super pantry friendly and easy, is we're just making boxed mashed potatoes. Now I don't have the complete potatoes, so we're gonna pour in the flakes, then a ½ cup of milk, and I put 2 tablespoons of butter in here with salt, water. You know, I followed the instructions on the non-complete potato flakes, but if you have complete potatoes, even easier, just add water. And then we're gonna put that kind of over the top of the casserole, but we're not done with the insides yet, so hold on. To this, we're adding 2 cans of French style drained green beans and a can of tomato soup. Again, things that you probably already have in your pantry. Easy peasy. My only thought is, because I'm doing an extra pound of meat, if I should add extra tomato soup. I'm gonna give this a stir and see how I feel. I definitely don't wanna under season it. So I don't think that you have to add another can of soup, but I'm going to because I think it's just gonna give it more flavor and make it even more delicious. All right, I ended up just adding ½ a can, which is really perfect. Like if I added more, I feel like it'd be too soupy, and the flavor's great. So it seems like I'm gonna be having grilled cheese and tomato soup tomorrow, which I'm not mad about. That sounds like a good lunch to me. And we're just gonna pour this in a casserole dish, probably 9 by 13. I might need to go bigger just because I put so much meat in here. We're gonna cover it with our mashed potatoes and then sprinkle on some shredded cheddar cheese. The great thing about this is you can make as much or as little mashed potatoes as you want, really. So I just made 4 servings and then spread it across. This could very easily feed 8 to 10. It's just not heavy on the mashed potatoes. But when you're making a potato, you know, instant mashed potato, just load it on. If you want to do that or go less, your choice. And then same with the cheese. You can put as much or as little as you want on. I'm using shredded cheddar, but you could use mozzarella, Colby Jack, whatever you have on hand. So since the bottom of this is already warm, everything but the cheese is kind of cooked. We're gonna put this in the oven at 350 degrees until it is hot, bubbly, cheesy, which is gonna be probably about 20 minutes is my guess, but we're gonna check on it in 20 and see. So I definitely know that it's ready. It's exactly what you said. It'll be bubbly and ready. It's ready. Looks delicious.
I give give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, kids are very much enjoying
wanna
this.
see
Dan and I already cleared our plates.
I know how to count to 100 really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good job.
I think that's off.
And you said it was a 5 out of 5, JJ?
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. This next one is a chicken Parmesan casserole, and I originally made this as part of a Dollar Tree Christmas dinner, but it's such a great make-ahead casserole and perfect for any easy weeknight dinner. To make the chicken parm casserole, I bought 2 of these banquet meals that had chicken nuggets in them, which I thought was going to be perfect to kind of put into that casserole. In the past, I've also seen chicken tenders at the Dollar Tree, so that's an option too if you have those. And then for that, so I just microwaved the chicken nuggets and then grated up the mozzarella cheese. I've also used cheese sticks in the past when I couldn't find the block mozzarella, although this block mozzarella is really good for the price. But if you can't find it, you can use cheese sticks and just grate those up, and they work out just as well right over the top of your casserole. And then I just cut the chicken nuggets up into bite-sized pieces because we're just going to mix this into the casserole. And then once that penne was done, I poured it into a 9x13 dish, and then it poured in all of my pasta sauce, and then mixed in that chicken, those cut up pieces of chicken as well. And this makes a really lovely casserole. It's just easy, especially if you make it the day before and just pop that in the oven, and it's just so warming and yummy. And this is as good as any other chicken parm casserole. Like, yeah, whatever, you're doing chicken nuggets, but they're still breaded pieces of chicken. And then you want to just top that with all of that shredded mozzarella cheese, and bake this at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. Just to make sure everything is warmed through and bubbly and that cheese is melted. For all of these recipes and more to help you with those busy weeknights and keep your grocery budget low, go ahead and click on the link in my description box to download my free Make Ahead Casseroles ebook.